Okay, game 1 of Imperial. We're facing off against Mirage. Not a BT17 deck just yet, but that's okay. We're going to showcase some BT17 decks afterwards, but this gameplay right here was insane. It was really crazy. But as for Imperial, we did get a couple new cards to work with, which is fantastic. It really takes it to the next level and makes it incredibly strong. Let's talk about opening hand. I decided to keep just because I can feel like I can see a line. I can just sort of digivolve at the back if I really need to, which is suboptimal, but at least it's playable, which is better than breaking, which is why I decided to keep that. And here digivolving into XV and then setting up the Davis can as soon as I can. And they try to chip against us with Mirage. We found another Davis and can, but they went into the BT13 Mirage to bounce it back. So we're still having one to work with, which is really good value. There are a lot of key components when it comes to this matchup because their stack, they're just going to one-shot us out of nowhere. We're going to have to be careful because Imperial does search for a lot of pieces and grab a lot of cards over time. We have a lot of draw power, which can feed into the Mirage very effectively for them to gain a ton of memory. But at the same time, we have a lot of outs around Imperial to play around it to stop them from sort of one-shotting us as well, which we'll explain more as we go along. So here we're going to go into the older Imperialdramon anyways, and we're just going to start establishing, try to attack and draw as many cards as possible to continue to find pieces and continue to build up momentum. We're actually sitting in a very good spot as we're gathering momentum and cards because we can potentially get rid of their stack and we can do a lot of chip damage all at the same time. So by going into the dragon mode, we're going to continue to attack. The only thing I'm really worried as I'm attacking into the security is full moon meteor impact. Because we don't have partition, we're not able to spit things back out, we're not able to re-DNA again, and I think we're not even having a secondary level 5 we can get into. So we are going for some risky attacks here. But you know what, I'm just like, we're sitting in a really good spot. Like I said, let's go into fighter mode to finish it off, and then we'll bounce off and basically bottom deck the Mirage and force them to rebuild all over again. And we're basically going to start attacking them again as much as we can. So then we can potentially try to push for game and apply pressure as quickly as possible. Notice they can actually climb very quickly still. They go into a 3 and then a 4 at the back, and all they need is a couple memory. We are gathering a lot of cards, so we are entering that danger zone where they can gain a ton of memory. And here, I really wanted to find Paladin mode. I really wanted to showcase more of the new cards because right now we're really just still utilizing the bread and butter of the old combos. We haven't really showcased new cards just yet, but don't worry guys, we'll get to see it. And this is the unfortunate thing, we drew into Paladin mode afterwards because otherwise my plan would have to use HPD, suspend my own Vmon, go into the fighter mode, and I could actually attack 3 times. And Paladin mode has one attacking can unsuspend, and potentially we could have actually finished the game off right there, which it came a little bit too late. Otherwise it'd been incredibly cool. It might be one-sided, but yeah, we're in a great spot anyways. And there's just almost no security they have. You know, we're giving them a little bit of value to work with. They have a couple of Thomases and they have a blue memory boost set up as well. So we're trying to be as careful. And this is one of the most important things that you have to keep in mind when you're playing against Mirage as an Imperial player, is that you need to get into the new BT16 Imperialdramon as much as you can, especially when you know they're about to pop off the next turn. So here I did go into XV, go into Sting. Unfortunately, I can't find the memory gaining ones that I would like, so then I could have actually attempted to swing for game. So I have to go for the 2 suboptimal ones. But at least by going into the BT16 Imperialdramon, it suspends down all their Digimon with fewer or less sources, and it blanketly prevents them from unsuspending the whole turn. So that's really crucial because here they could just climb all the way up and they can go into the Mirage burst mode and so on. With so many cards in their hand and so many Thomases, they can just actually straight up OTK us here from there. Well, not really OTK, they chipped up with damage a little bit, but basically one-shot us and win the game. And thankfully, that's why we have to end on that Imperialdramon. Always remember, end on the Imperialdramon if you can, especially when you know they're gonna pop off. So here, they went into Huankumon, which is a really cool tech, which lets you play the Madoki Betamon. Not Madoki Betamon, but just Betamon, stunning our Imperialdramon, but they're going to go into Mirage BT11 to attempt to bounce it back to our hand. We're going to partition out anyways, and they're going to try to attempt to attack, but all they wanted to do right here is actually draw cards. They have jamming, so they're totally fine. They get to put the Betamon back underneath thanks to Huankumon's Inheritable as well to basically make multiple unsuspends, and they can go into burst mode. Now, we might be thinking, yeah, doesn't work on us at all. You know, you can't unsuspend, you can't attack us anymore. Basically, it's over for them. You know, what can they really do? But notice, the amount of cards in our hand. And the moment they started counting the number of cards in our deck, I realized we are in for some spicy Mirage gameplay. Have you guys ever heard of Mirage Mill? Because this is exactly what the opponent's trying to do to us at this moment. They're playing Galmons back to back to force both of us to draw. They're utilizing Thomas's to force us to draw. They're going into Mirage BT11 back to back again, gaining a ton of memory at the same time, slowly kind of taking away our security as well at the same time there. And at this moment, we have over 20 cards, almost even 30 cards in our hand. And going into the Mirage just gives them 7 memory back to back. Going into burst mode, they're digi-evolving into the Galgamon as well, the newer one, which makes us both draw 1 as well. And they're just constantly making us draw. Their game plan right here is actually trying to deck us out. And this is actually insane, you guys can see, because it's actually doable. They're going into Mac out here afterwards. And it's fine because they're going to continue to make us add cards to their hands somehow. By gaining that ton of memory back to back, they're cycling through their deck. They can draw through their entire deck and they can just pass turn to us, even with 0 cards left in their deck. As long as we have 0 cards in our deck, we would just actually lose. This is an insane comeback that you guys don't get to see every day, honestly, as a Mirage player. And it's just crazy, crazy. And they're just doing it back to back. They're searching, they're finding the other cards, continue to play stuff out, continuing to make me draw cards, and my deck is thinning out. I'm not, as a typical Imperial player, I'm no longer holding half the deck in my hand. I'm holding the entire deck in my hand, and they only have 3 cards left, but they're fine. They're still turn player as long as they can keep drawing. Even though if they have 0 cards in their deck, they can still continue to play as long as possible. But here, they finally stopped, which is really unfortunate for them because it would have been an epic game-winning part for them. We gotta be really careful here. We're gonna use Davis Ken starter main, but we're not gonna play any of the Vmons or the Wormmons that search. So I'm pretty lucky right here that I didn't have to play any of those because I can play the promo Vmon and I can play the BT16 Wormmon to prevent all of that happening. Because it would have been insane. If we were forced to play that, then we can't do that DNA combo. They almost had us, essentially. They had a Pseudo Ace as well. We have to play around it. So we have to DNA. We have to suspend their guys, strip their sources, and make sure our stack has more sources than they do. And you guys will probably notice I only have 1 card left in my deck. And this is actually insane. And the moment I'm actually going to swing and draw here, even with Zudo, they're not going to be able to stop the attack anymore. By drawing that card anyways, they're going to gain maximum memory again. So that basically is the game. Really, really crazy, really tight, but yeah, really great start off there and incredibly crazy. Okay, in this game, we are going to be facing off a really, really cool BT17 deck, which is Dex Dorgoramon. Dorgoramon came out in BT16 and got a bunch of new support in the Dex form in BT17, so we're going to try to go up against it. We are going first here, and I decided to keep the hand. Very similar reasons to the last game with Mirage, where I'm just trying to see, okay, you know what, I can sort of see a 3, 4, 5, maybe that's okay. Ideally, you really want to see your Tamers plus a rookie in the early stages, but mulliganing can really give you a hard punished. So I decided to keep it and go for it. And hey, you know, eventually we found an XV. We're able to do some end of turn DNA combos, gain some memory back with the XV and Sting as well, and start swinging into with our Imperialdramon essentially, so then we can start drawing cards and start as much momentum as possible. In this matchup, one of the key things is to notice is whether if the Dorgoramon or Dex Dorgoramon player is able to find Kosuke. Kosuke is one of their key engine pieces that helps them facilitate all their important combos. Now that I notice they don't have one, so I know I'm in a really good position at the moment. I can attack aggressively as much as possible, but I also have to try to be wary and decide on when I really want to chip, because if I chip and give them a Kosuke, everything can turn around instantly for us. But as per usual, the game plan with Imperial is you gotta try and attack aggressive as much as possible. I don't want to prolong it either, because if I prolong the game, they find a Kosuke somehow either way. They get into it because they have a Dorumon they can push up and they can actually get into it and go for the full line of combos with triple training, which is absolutely insane. it can actually absolutely destroy us. Another key thing to keep in mind is when we're playing against this deck is try to also stay as a level 5 with Imperialdramon. They're able to digivolve us. They can kind of play around our new option as well very, very effectively. And we don't want to overcommit too much because they can also delete our things, delete our tamers, attack unsuspended kind of way. Not really attack unsuspended, but force us to collide against them. And they have technically higher DP than we do usually. So we got to be really careful when playing about that. And they kind of climbed up all the way. No Kosuke to be found, which is really unfortunate, but they at least got all the way to a Dex Dorogoromon. And there's the Kosuke, but they still managed to clear our board, which is really, really scary if you think about it. So thankfully, that's a good thing that we went for the first initial stack anyways, and not overcommitted straight to a level 6 as well. I do have the Dragon Mode, but I'm trying to save it at the right time, at the right moment. So here, thanks to drawing all those cards, I could then actually start digivolving. Now I noticed I did a search there earlier. Mistake, I accidentally grabbed both Imperialdramon and Vmon by accident. Keep in mind, guys, can't do that at all. I thought I was gonna grab that Davis Ken, and I guess my hands went too quickly and I completely just missed it. So, but that didn't really matter too much because I had another Vmon to work with for the rest of the game anyway. So just letting you guys know. But yeah, keep in mind, Vmon BT12 searches for a Davis Tamer and a free trait, not 2 free traits. Again, I think, you know, I was clear on that. I definitely know, but I accidentally just grabbed it without thinking and without noticing it during the time. I thought I grabbed the Tamer too, actually, honestly. But anyways, here I notice I have to clear the board a little bit, play a little bit of board control. Suboptimal stack here. I kind of have to go for an HPD, which is kind of strange, but it's kind of classic as well, which is an alternative play. To go into Imperialdramon. I can't bottom deck. The starter deck Imperialdramon needs to DNA to in order to bottom deck, but I know I need to take out some of those rookies and try to find my way to climb up. My hand doesn't look the greatest too after drawing all those cards, as you guys can see. So I was trying to see how I can play slowly here and kind of sort of, but yeah, get rid of their stuff. I know Dex Dorogoromon is really frightening, but it's usually more frightening when the moment it comes out. When it stays on the board, it's not as scary. So I want to get rid of the rookies because I don't want them to digivolve up and find another whole line and do it all over again. Which is why I use a new option here, which is fantastic. It's essentially like HPD for the deck, but only 2 cost. Or more like win rate, actually, if you guys remember that card. So with that, we can actually go into Dragon Mode, suspend down their guy, and then swing over it. And then we have that Dragon Mode standing so that we can actually threaten the ace. This is the real moment where I decide to go for that. Because they have a level 6 on the board, they can no longer really get rid or de-digivolve us to play around the ace. So at this moment, if they try to attack, we can ace them back, and then they're gonna get bottom deck from fighter mode, essentially. Notice I don't have it in my hand. That is the reality. But you always make sure to play it as if you have it. You know, you kind of bait your opponents, you kind of force them to play around it, make them, you know, take unfavorable choices. And here, this is the moment where they find out we probably don't have it because they swung into our Vmon, we let the attack go through, and they were able to play things and sort of like, you know, gather some cards again. So our bluff kind of, you know, fell through very quickly, but it's still important to make sure that you're bluffing, that you have it, even though I don't. But that's totally fine. That's why I set up the double Davis and Ken, because now I have an extra one to work with afterwards. Then I could actually go for another full combo. I need to push for game later. Again, same reason. Now that they finally found the Kosuke, it tells me I can no longer just sit here and wait. Because with that Kosuke, they can start controlling the board, they can start deleting our tamers and start attacking stuff. So I'm being very, very, very cautious. They only put us back to 1 memory with Dex Dorogoromon, but they don't have a blocker because they didn't really blocker retail because they didn't really like play a Digivolve from trash, or they don't have a Dorogor underneath either, which is a little bit unfortunate for them. So we're gonna go all in and try to attempt to finish it here because this deck doesn't really regularly play ace either. If they do, it might be Vike, it might be, you know, black, purple. Purple would be Myotis ace, so we're pretty safe here. It could block, but it's totally fine. So we're just gonna go for the full combo. We're gonna go for head and DNA into Imperialdramon here. Suspend Davis and Ken double to gain the memory, retain our turn, the good old classic bread and butter combo. Once again, the whole point of this video is really to showcase, like, it's not the most optimal use of the Primogenitor option cards that we used, but it's still really good because it let us play and continue to get into what we need to, even though it's suboptimal, so that we're not always breaking and relying on the specific DNA combo just to go for our actual main line of attack. So we're able to chip out and swing out and win here. Okay, For this matchup, we are going to be playing against Tyrant, which actually got a little bit of a new support. No Shiva Ace, unfortunately, because it comes in LM4, which is December, but they actually got a new card, which is the Mega Kabutery that is both green and blue, and it's a really good card for the deck. Gives it a lot more damage power and whatnot. So really excited to see this matchup because I haven't really showcased this before. But anyways, here with our opening hand, I was like, nope, can't work with that at all. I was able to work with it before from the last 2 games, but no. But now, oh, this is kind of unfortunate. Not the greatest. We are going first, so all we can really do is just hard slap down to Davis and Ken and hope for the best. But guys, we keep in mind, even though when you guys are bricking, there's always hope. Destiny draw into Wormmon, and we're basically good there, and we can just start digi-evolving in the back and sit tight. So at least that gives us a little bit of cyclability of cards, and you know, we really just are missing a level 5 now to continue to go. I decided to play the Primogenitor because I just want to put them to 1 memory and as low as possible. But here I actually found my out. I can't believe I actually managed to draw all the way out there, which is really good. Here, I felt like I did a little bit of some optimal play. I wasn't sure why at the moment. I just didn't hard play the Stingmon and then just go ahead and DNA'd into Imperialdramon. At least I could be drawing a lot more cards anyways and establish my momentum a little bit quicker from there. Instead, I just hard evo into Imperialdramon and then suspended Davis and Ken to gain the memory back, which honestly, I could have, yeah, definitely hard played the Stingmon and DNA'd with it instead. Although the Pomomon there does stop our Davis and Ken and prevents us from playing Digimon by an effect, but it doesn't stop us playing Stingmon because it's not by an effect. Anyways, here, we're just going to continue with the game because the game flow is still pretty okay. It's still a little bit in our favor, honestly, because now we're able to find our sort of like rookie out there and sort of like start building and all that kind of stuff. We can kind of play a little bit here and actually try to get rid of their Grand Kawaga. It is a little unfortunate that Grand Kawaga basically took out our Davis and Ken, but we're going to punish them back. We're going to make them pay for it because we're going to go into our fighter mode and bottom deck the Grand Kawaga. Grand Kawaga Ace doesn't have any protection like the other insects do, which is great. So then we can establish a bit more momentum here, establishing a fighter mode early so we can try to make more attacks. So then that can, you know, help us push further into the game. But one thing to be wary of is Tyrant is a very strong control deck. They have a lot of utility that can suspend us, they can swing over us as well. By going into the fighter mode this early means that we can't really further extend it except for 1 card, and that 1 card is Paladin Mode ACE. And finally, guys, we get to showcase and see how you can actually utilize Paladin Mode ACE generally in this deck. It's a nice one of. I wouldn't say it's like, maybe you could play as a 2 of maybe, but you don't really need a lot of it, but it's just a nice to have for sure. Gives you a little bit of accessibility to some really cool plays, which we'll showcase as well later. But here we gotta be careful. They gave us a lot of memory to work with Stingmon, which is good, but we're still missing a secondary level 5 that we can get into, and we can't just really nilly-willy just try to attack because there's 2 things we gotta respect. I know they have not a lot of cards in their hand, but there's potentially a Mega Kabutery Ace and another Grand Kawaga Ace, which they do have a Mega Kabutery Ace. Again, they don't have a lot of cards in their hand. Chances are if they had the double ace, then that's just really good for them. But this is a really good showcase that we're going to attempt to attack anyways. We're not going to worry too much. We want to get rid of that Mega Kabutery. But however, by going into ace, we can then, they can buff up their Mega Kabutery and actually make it even stronger with all the DP buffs that they added up from all those Metal Kawaga or Blade Kawaga, sorry. And our fighter mode actually couldn't go over it. So this is where we would use the new option to actually let us digivolve into the Paladin Mode ACE. Now, of course, the Paladin Mode ACE doesn't seem to get the most effect out of there. We didn't get to trash too many sources. Keep in mind, most of their insects, as long as they're suspended, they're immune to Digimon effects, which is kind of a big hindrance against, a big counter against Imperial, because a lot of our removal are actually Digimon effects, and a lot of our control tools are Digimon effects either, and they're not affecting them and not, you know, being able to stop them. That's the tricky part. The only one thing that can play around like a Tyrant deck or an Insectoid deck generally is Gigadef, which is options, but I'm not running it at this moment because I'm just trying to utilize as many of the new options and Paladin modes as much as possible in this current setup at the moment, trying to play test it a bit more so I can showcase it too. But yeah, a little bit slight optimal way to use Paladin Mode ACE, but don't worry guys, definitely stay tuned, subscribe. We're gonna show more Imperial content coming up in the future as well. But anyways, as we continue, we gotta play a little bit slow by bit as well, just because of the immunity is just incredibly strong. We are in a dangerous spot because we have our Paladin Mode ACE on top of our Fighter Mode ACE, which this Lotmon play is just absolutely insane because it buffs up their Mega Tributary and it gets alliance with it and basically attempt to swing over it. And even if we had a Fighter Mode ACE, it wouldn't matter at all because we even go into it, we can't bottom deck them. So that's it. We gave them a ton of memory off of there, which is really unfortunate, and they're starting to able to make a comeback with an incredibly wide board as well because it's just got so much memory to work with. So here they're going to climb up, go up into Sting, go up into their Mega Tributary also here once again, and then they're going to use their training to go into Tyrant here. And here it is, the scary big bug, and they do play something off the effect. But one thing they didn't know, they were about to attack into us, but hold on, before the end of the turn attack actually activates, we actually have the opportunity to use our Dragon Mode's effect, which is still one of the best effects out there, honestly, guys, to sort of counter anything, because they Digivolve via an effect with agility training, which counts, or they actually play the cool Tributary, which also counts. I was debating to go into the older fighter mode because then I could bottom deck all their rookies. Again, I can't bottom deck their level 5s because they're suspended and protected, so we have to get rid of that Tyrant before it actually attacks into us. So second ace coming in fighter mode, and we can continue to try to make a bit of a clapback. Now, they don't have any redirects at the moment because it is suspended, and we have enough attacks technically to go for the game. But I want to be very careful because we might run into something or something that could actually just turn it around, and then if our fighter mode is also not strong enough, if we run into a Tyrant, we're going to get deleted by battle and we're going to ace overflow and we're just going to lose all our momentum. So I decided to go for the safe play as much as possible. I'm really unfortunate that I can't find the other Imperialdramon to swing out as well. But yes, sorry, actually, if we run into Tyrant, it's totally fine. We have jamming, but there's actually still one card I'm going to keep playing around, and you guys are going to see in a bit as well, because it actually will matter quite a bit. So we're going to continue to attack. Maybe, again, looking back, maybe I should just went for security as much as possible and try to pressure for game, force them to redirect. But again, you never know what's coming. So we want to go for a safer play. But again, reviewing, maybe I should have just went for security. But yeah, I'm just going to take out the rookies all at as much as possible. And I really want to get rid of that Mega Tributary to help me ensure my win there. But I'm not really seeing it at the moment. So, you know, here, I'm just going to play a Vmon, pass them back to 3, knowing they have a Izzy to start off there anyways. So we're in pretty good position. We have a lot of cards to work with. They're going to swing over us back as well. They're going to start attacking, and they're going to try to find their pieces, and they're going to try to make a bit of a comeback. It is a bit of a grind game when it comes to playing against like Tyrant as well. But yeah, keep in mind, guys, I'm trying to play around options. But here they go into Hercules, meaning they can't find the other Tyrant. We got lots of cards in our hand now at this moment because we've drawn so much. So really, they have one readout of Izzy. Basically, we can't end them just yet. So, of course, as per usual, we're going to try to go for the DNA combo going into Imperialdramon. But even with Imperialdramon, stunning and doing all that sort, they're just not affected at all. We need a Davis Ken, as a matter of fact. We need Davis Ken to actually strip some sources. We're going to go into Dragon Mode here to suspend down the Izzy so they can't redirect. So we're going to attempt to attack. But there's one thing we also have to be very careful of with level 6. They might actually play their own Paladin Mode ACE. And this is the card that I was going to say. Another Izzy can be very dangerous. So we don't want to overextend like there. But here we finally see it. That's why the previous turn I was trying to be very, very careful, because I don't want that to happen. Because if I give them the extra Izzy during that moment, they're able to constantly just redirect again and again. Now here I'm just really, really stuck. That was a really clutch Izzy there, honestly. Because without that Izzy, I would have probably just push through the game essentially. I went for a little bit of an awkward play. I actually HPD into my own fighter mode, into another fighter mode, and I actually gonna go for a greedy attack. I'm gonna attempt to attack into their Hercules Tributary, hoping they don't have a Paladin Mode ACE. If they have one, it's doomed, but it looks like they don't. So that's really good for us. And we're running out of cards in deck as well, you guys can notice, because of the grind game lasting kind of long. So I decided to end with a Vmon here, just so I have an extra body to go as wide as possible to try to play around the redirects as much as I can and force them to actually deal with our bigger body if they can. Maybe arguably also looking back, maybe I should just Digivolve in the back and chilled anyways since I start my memory at 3, so I could actually hard play that body either way and then potentially charge DNA during the next turn. But they climb all the way back up into Hercules. Hercules is always a great alternative if you can't find Tyrant, but still Hercules can Digivolve into a Tyrant and they're gonna use their end of turn attack into us. We're gonna Ace Overflow once again, which is really unfortunate. They could trash and pierce and do some damage, which is why the new Mega Carpetary Promo 1 is just really good for this deck. And it gives them that bit of damage, and they're surviving. They're having triple Izzies. Well, one of them suspended, so one of them can't like redirect, but they can still redirect twice. And we're in the same position again, trying to see if we can actually try to push for a game. Now, during the time of like playing this game, I was trying to figure out different like areas. I did misplay a little bit, and I did saw the opportunity because there's actually a winning formula here, assuming the last security was not Izzy or whatever, what's a kind of bomb. But I kind of had to push through because I'm running out of cards in my deck at this moment. They can actually just grind me out without actually taking down my security. They can just deck me out and win. But this Imperial Fighter Mode swing was incredibly fatal because that ended up giving a memory from Tentomon, and they redirected. I was trying to bait them to use it first because then I felt like if they used it, then I could sort of like go into Pale and sort of like do the whole DNA shenanigans and try to attack. But again, DNA into this Pale, we do gain 2 memory back, but we actually needed 1 extra memory, and that 1 extra memory was crucially part of that misplay of swing with fighter mode. Because what I was gonna do here then is, you guys notice I still play the older starter deck Dragon mode. I could have went into the new option, Digivolve into the old Dragon mode for free, spit out 2 bodies, XV and Sting, DNA it again, and then have enough attacks so that they just can't redirect anymore. And I really unfortunately lost that momentum. I failed to see it, but that game was actually supposed to be ours, and yeah. Keep in mind guys, that was what I would have done, but they just passed turn and we unfortunately lost in the end. Don't forget to grab your very own copy of the Viral Invasion Playmat on the AVAULT store right now. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. You guys have a great day, great night, wherever you are. See you in the next video, and this is AVAULT signing out.